The scene cuts back a little to the past, when students were just starting to gather in the classroom early in the morning. We see the terrified face of Youngchan taking hits to the head from two rowdy individuals who are using his face for target practice. Jae-hyung is feeling pretty cocky about his direct headshot and brags to his friend about it. Hyokjin then gets ticked off and demands this nearby student to hand over his eraser. Once the timid student offers his eraser, Hyokjin quickly takes it. He swings his hand with all his might and delivers a precise headshot to Youngchan. He breaks into a happy dance after landing the perfect hit, but Jae-hyung tries to downplay it, saying this was just a lucky shot. The two friends go back and forth, trying to outdo each other with their headshot skills. Jae-hyung decides to take another shot, swinging his hand violently and throwing the eraser down at the poor Youngchan. But surprisingly, Jin steps in, and the eraser hits him in the waist instead. The two bullies are annoyed by this sudden interruption, and the eraser falls to the ground. Jin then takes his seat right next to the terrified Youngchan. The redhead is visibly ticked off, feeling Jin is finally getting on his nerves. Hyokjin decides to talk some sense into Jin for stepping in, and the redhead quickly agrees. Meanwhile, our boy simply puts his bag on the desk and asks Youngchan if he's alright. The poor fella mutters that he is fine, but we can tell by his pale face he is not fine at all. Youngchan simply leans toward our boy for avoiding any eye contact with those bullies, and asks our boy if they should hang out after school. Jin reveals that he has to walk home with his sister, so he can't hang out. The timid boy perks up at this and asks if his sister transferred here with him. Jin shakes his head, saying she was already studying here before he arrived. When Youngchan asks her name, Jin tells him it's Daeon. Youngchan is startled to hear this, and Jin notices his sudden reaction, so he asks his friend if he knows her. At first, Youngchan feels reluctant to say anything, but admits that Daeon isn't having the best time at school lately. He explains that she was quite popular back in middle school for being smart and pretty, which attracted a lot of attention from the guys. But then a blonde girl named Hui Jin, who was jealous, started bullying her. Jin asks if no one stopped them from bullying Daeon. Youngchan reveals that the girl who used to bully her, Hui Jin, has a brother named Gisu Kim, who's one of the worst troublemakers at their school. What's even worse is that Daeon is stuck in the same homeroom as Hui Jin, and she gets bullied to the point where every student is amazed that she still has the courage to come to school. Jin puts two and two together and realizes that Hui Jin started bullying his sister just because someone liked Daeon, and that's the only reason she's being targeted. But Youngchan somberly reveals that this is just an excuse, because Hui Jin simply wanted a reason to bully someone. Jin's mind flashes back to several days before, when his grandpa hoped that Jin would have an easier time adjusting to his new school after living overseas for so long. The grandpa then turns to his granddaughter and asks if she's doing well in school too. At that time, little Daeon charmingly assures her grandpa that she's doing absolutely fine, and never shows a hint of the grievances she faces at school on a daily basis. Her grandpa praises her, noting that Daeon is always a brilliant student, and even her teachers speak highly of her. In the present moment, Jin realizes that his sister was just putting on a brave face and hiding her struggles to keep their grandfather from worrying. Then, one of the rowdy bullies kicks the door open, and the entire gang of school bullies saunters into the classroom. Hyokjin quickly asks these rowdy bunch what they're doing in their class. Gisu Kim, one of the top dogs of the entire school, just says he's there to handle some business. Hyokjin's surprised to see Gisu and is not sure what to do. You see, Hyokjin is a small fry, while he can deal with the other bullies pretty fine, but he doesn't want to get tangled up with Gisu Kim. Meanwhile, Gisu's lackeys inform him about Jin. When Gisu sees Jin, he starts shouting at his lackeys, furious that they got their butts kicked by a scrawny little punk. He dismisses his lackeys and provocatively flicks his finger at Jin, telling him to come over. Jin stands up immediately, while the redhead and Hyokjin look totally confused about what Jin did to tick off Gisu, and they're pretty sure he is pretty much screwed now. Meanwhile, Jin stands his ground defiantly and asks if Gisu is actually the big shot here. Gisu sneers, and he finds it fascinating that our boy took his sweet time to figure out who is in charge here. He turns to his lackey and tells him not to just stand there like an idiot and to make a move. But we can clearly tell that the lackey is absolutely scared, but he eventually steps forward towards Jin. But before the showdown starts, Daeon also bursts into the classroom, breathing heavily. In the current time, this is how Jin finds himself looking at his bruised-up sister. Tears well up in Daeon's eyes as she starts apologizing to Jin for putting him into trouble. Meanwhile, Hui Jin scoffs after seeing those tears and calls her the biggest drama queen ever. Jin, however, tells his sister she has nothing to apologize for. Before she can say another word, he loses it and slaps this lackey across the face with such force that he hits the ground, knocked out cold. The other bullies, who already know how hard Jin can hit, start to tremble. With one lackey down, Jin turns to his sister and says that these bullies are the ones who should be apologizing. The fatty charges at Jin with a clenched fist, but Jin effortlessly pushes his hand away. When he spots the exposed throat, Jin delivers a brutal, precise smack to it, like a ninja, leaving the bully spitting and coughing before collapsing to the floor. The other lackey, shaking with fear, tries to land a hit on Jin. Jin responds with a crushing blow to his ribs, and with lightning-fast reflexes, sends the lackey tumbling to the ground. Meanwhile, Gisu's confidence has finally started to fade away, as he sees our boy effortlessly taking down his bullies like they're nothing. The local lackeys of this class, who are still in their beta stage, stand there wide-eyed and expressionless. Even Huijin and Chicken Shake are freaking out, completely losing their composure. After taking down the last two bullies, Jin turns to Gisu and makes it clear that his sister has been suffering because of these thugs, and he's not about to